Let's take a bump, everybody, because we have yet another end of year roundup for 2024. This one is top 10 matches of 2024. There's a lot to cover with this. There was a lot of amazing matches over the course of the year. And all of these matches, I think, are perfect. They embody the best of professional wrestling. And I love everything about these. Some of these even reignited some lost passion I or others may have had in pro wrestling. And I think everything about these is just amazing. Can't wait to talk about them with you right now, starting with number 10 from AEW's Collision in January. Escape the cage match between FTR and Daniel Garcia against the House of Black. This was a brutal crux climax to this storyline between these two sides. And this was around the time of Adam Copeland and Malachi Black in the cage. And this, I feel like, was the best that House of Black has done in AEW. This match was just outstanding and perfectly brutal, perfect amount of story in there, and it was a beautiful way to get should have been a way to get House of Black back on track. And we know how things have been with House of Black as of late. Not that great in terms of story, but this was hope at the time. Next, number 9 from AEW Revolution, Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. You could guess that a match between these two would be an all-timer. And the fact that this match is only number 9 goes to show the level of quality we have in every match after this. This match was phenomenal, especially knowing where each of these wrestlers are now. I think that this was exactly the kind of thing that Tony Khan wanted as a way to start kind of a new era in AEW. This is where he wants the company to go. And it didn't disappoint, that match, and where we are now with Ospreay, Takeshita, and talent similarly, I can almost not complain. But this match was phenomenal, and I really want to go back and watch it right now. Let's move on to number 8, another match that I would love to go back and watch from Wrestle Kingdom for the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. It is Tetsuya Naito versus Sonata, where Naito won the championship from Sonata. Sonata and Naito in the same faction prior in Los Ingobernables de Japón. This was the culmination of their careers up until that point, and Naito kind of beginning the tail end of his career. I feel like he's going to be wrapping up his career shortly after Hiroshi Tanahashi. But this match was everything at the time. This was the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, and it deserved that spot. I wish Sonata had a bit better of a title reign overall, but the fact that it ended here, I cannot complain about. Naito went on to have a great title reign, and this match was, fantastic spark for that. Next up at number 7 from AEW's Dynasty, Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay. So this was part of Bryan Danielson's kind of end of full-time career tour, and Ospreay being one stop of that tour was inevitable. Ospreay is, to me, up for greatest of all time. Especially considering how much he is on this list. And this match, letting Ospreay go over too, was something else. It was absolutely stunning, especially knowing that Danielson would have a title reign shortly after, would get the AEW World Championship. Of course, the match between these two would be amazing. You would only expect, and it delivered wholly. everything that was hyped up to it. Next, number 6. Speaking of Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland at Forbidden Door for the AEW World Championship. This, I believe, was Ospreay's first loss. This was his first loss in AEW, and holy hell, it was the best thing that could have happened. Swerve defending the championship against Ospreay successfully, although I would have preferred Swerve not lose to Bryan Danielson, but this stop on Swerve's title reign was probably the most important, aside from Adam Page. But this was just outstanding. I loved everything about this match, and Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, I believe, are my number 1 and 2 of the year, if I remember correctly. And this is kind of the culmination of both of their years together into one. So number 5, taking a stop in TJPW from Grand Princess for the Princess of Princess Championship, Miyu Yamashita versus Miyu Watanabe. This was the start of Miyu Watanabe's title reign, and she had, in my opinion, one of the best title reigns of the year, facing off against Yamashita, 2 polar opposites. You could not get more opposite in TJPW than these 2, unless you put like Max the Impaler in against Miyu Watanabe. But even still, Miyu Yamashita is brutal. She's powerful. She is, you know, she's like just not to be fucked with, in short. And Miyu Watanabe is very much the opposite of that. She is the embodiment of Joshi. She's cute. She's like all pink all over, and almost like a cheerleader look. She sings before every show, and like she also showed in this match her brutality. She showed how strong she is, that she is deserving of such a high spot in TJPW. Miyu Watanabe, who just lost to Mizuki, she was the perfect face of TJPW, and proved in this match that she can stand in that spot, that she can stand in Yamashita's spot. Similarly to how Ospreay and Shota Umino's match should have gone, or rather was kind of teasing at going, Shota Umino taking over for Ospreay as that spot in the company. But that, albeit, had a different outcome. This one had Watanabe getting over on Yamashita and getting a very cathartic win. Next up, from Stardom, continuing on the Joshi train, Stardom from Dream Queendom 2024 from the end of the year for the Wonder of Stardom Championship, Natsupoi versus Starlight Kid. This felt huge. I don't watch a lot of Stardom, but I got every sense of what this was supposed to be without even any video package or anything. This almost felt like the grandioseness of a wedding. I mean, both wrestlers came out in just all white, extravagant gear. Like they were on the same page. They had so much respect and honor for each other. And it came together in the match, ending in Starlight Kid getting the championship, and hopefully start to something big for Starlight Kid, because I love her. She's such an incredible wrestler. If any of you have watched her matches tag team with El Desperado, she is outstanding. And this was kind of putting her on a pedestal. This was her being elevated in the moment. And I loved everything about this match, especially just the aura. Everything from the entrance to the finish and beyond. It was phenomenal. All right, number 3, again from Stardom's Dream Queendom 2024 for the World of Stardom Championship. This is the highest championship, the World Championship of Stardom. Tam Nakano versus Saya Kamitani. So this required the video package beforehand, but it added so much. It gave so much context to the match, and having that context, this was massive, because Tam Nakano and Kamitani used to be friends. They used to be partners in a faction, but then Nakano accidentally injured Kamitani and they're out of action for a while. But when Saya Kamitani returned, she was leading the Hate faction along with Tekla, Momo Watanabe, and others. And the aura, I mentioned aura with Natsu and Starlite Kid, but the aura that Saya Kamitani had was unlike anything I'd ever seen. It was on the level of Kenny Omega coming out in the Final Fantasy gear at Wrestle King. Like, this was unlike anything. This was almost a demolishing. It was an apology. It was a disrespect. It was everything. So much emotion wrapped into this match. And Kamitani won the championship, sparking potentially a huge era in Stardom. And now I cannot wait to watch more. All right, next up from AEW's Full Gear, Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. So this is Will Ospreay's 4th match in the top 10. So goes to show how great of a year Ospreay has had. But this is Kyle Fletcher's career up until this point. Ospreay has been like a brother to Fletcher, and vice versa. Kyle Fletcher's new character was cemented in this match. When he came out in the all white with the crown, he was on another level than Ospreay. He knew, he especially wanted to elevate past him, to disregard all of and prove wrong all of the Ospreay's better chance. And he needed to prove himself with this match, and Ospreay just wanted his brother back. And there was so much passion and heart in this that nothing but number 1 could stand above this. And I feel like you all know what my number 1 is going to be based on how much everybody was talking about it. So number 1 from AEW's All Out, the Lights Out Steel Cage match between Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. This gave me chills watching it. And hardly any matches in professional wrestling, aside from this year, Gabe Kidd versus Kenny Omega, hardly anything else has given me chills. When I watched Swerve get powerbombed onto a cinder block and then a syringe get plunged into his cheek, I gasped. And I normally am fine with death matches. I'm normally fine with that stuff. I like to watch GCW. I like to watch, Nick Gage and some of the more story-driven deathmatch wrestlers. But this was just hatred. This was hatred embodied. Adam Page lit Swerve's house on fire. And the fact that Swerve had that image on his gear was just outstanding. And then Adam Page making that his walkout Tron. I mean, nothing stood above this. I don't think this is possibly my greatest match of all time. I mean, it's definitely up there along with Ospreay versus Umino, Lucha Brothers versus Young Bucks, and now Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd. This was just holy hell. You watch two guys want to murder each other, and that bloodlust is visible on their faces for the entirety of the match. Once I watched this match, I knew that nothing would come above this. Nothing is gonna rival this at all in 2024, and nothing did, because it is the match of 2024. Let me know your favorite matches of 2024. I know I left out some WWE. There was no WWE or TNA in the list. Let me know if there are any from those promotions that you think should have been included. But comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.